What's going on, Z Warriors? Mr. Waffles here, and we're here with 10th place. That's what you got, right? 10th place, at Worlds. TJ Corcoran. He also got 2nd place at New Hampshire Regional. And today we have his deck profile what he ran at Worlds. Also, we're going to have his input on his experience and why he chose the deck that he did. So, so why Red Ruthless Goku as opposed to like all the blue hype and
I just feel like the meta right now is just so much of like a coin flip meta. Everything's so luck stacky. It all comes down to who draws Unleashed, or if you're playing Roshi, just if you get like heroic dashing punches or the anger cards in time. So I figured Ruthless has like the highest ceiling out of any of the decks. So if you get the right cards in Ruthless, you just win. It really doesn't matter. Yeah. So I figured at Worlds, like you need to run hot to win. You need to be lucky. You need to have a good deck, and you need to play well. Yeah. And I figured if I was lucky, then Ruthless is the way to go because so many wins will just come so easily, and it'll just overpower all the other decks.
Yeah. And in testing, did you find like Ruthless was holding on to the other Goku decks in the mirror, or was it still like the same, like you said, lucky? I wasn't sure if it was like more of like a 60, like I guess a 55, 40. In your favor kind of thing? Or?
Well, it depends on how the blue Gokus are built, I think. You know, the more physical the blue Goku is, the better of a chance it has, just because I can't stage lock it.
Yeah.
And so, like the initial, when Set 7 first came out, people had very high energy builds, but they sort of moved away from that as testing went on.
Yeah.
So it became more of closer to a 50-50 as time went on, I think.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we'll get right into the deck profile, and then we'll ask, like your experience and maybe like a couple of matches and stuff like that. Sure. So I guess as you can see, he was running obviously the new Goku stack, 1 through 4, and so we'll get on with the deck list.
Yeah, no pack foils there, not enough swag.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But you got your.
We'll start with some swag here. We got the I'll dig your grave.
Oh, it's like you went to Worlds or something.
I know, right? It's so weird. Now I stole them off somebody. But so this card, not a lot of people are playing it in Ruthless, but so much of the deck is just turning off Endurance and trying to flip their 60 cards right away.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. The auto leveling doesn't really come into play that often.
Yeah.
But just having another way to turn off Endurance, another big physical, a good target for copying with Ruthless Mastery, I think it's a good play.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that more people didn't do it.
Yeah, it's like your second like static shot in a sense,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Static Shot only turns off Endurance. This turns off Prevention, which is huge in a Roshi matchup.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I was really trying to aim for with this build, was I wanted to beat Orange Roshi.
Yeah, for sure.
So definitely Dig is one of the easiest ways to do that.
Awesome.
Next one, Devastating Blow. Again, a nod to Roshi. I don't know if this was a good play or not in the deck, but I just thought, against Roshi, you can never have enough anger lowering.
Yeah.
And against Goku, this gives you sort of like a really narrow out to Unleashed. If they unleash first, turn 1, you can respond with the Dev Blow if you can't sphere them at the time.
Yeah.
So they can at least loop the Unleashed and just keep going crazy with it.
Exactly. I think you have your good cover bases because it's not a bad card at all, especially with Goku being so high. It still comes in for a good amount, at least 1 life card of damage and some other.
It just bothers them a little bit, and gaining the anger isn't irrelevant. Having a little bit of slime anger helps because you can't always level with the auto levelers. So that's another thing I liked about Ruthless as opposed to Resolute, is that you can slime up an extra level sometimes.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in that matchup, but just across the board. So I like that a little bit better, have the slime anger option. So
awesome.
that's why I put Devlo. I don't know if it was a great play. It didn't really do anything major for me at Worlds.
But you'd rather be safe than sorry, because you're going to Worlds, so.
Yeah, going into an unknown meta, I also thought having discard hate would be more relevant, because you don't know what weird decks could come out if someone's playing, say, Raditz and make a loop Menaces, or something weird could happen where they need their discard pile.
Yeah.
So I like having that option. So another option I put in the deck, I put 1 Shattering Leap.
Ooh, getting all techie, all filmograph here.
Yeah, honestly, I should have just run 2 or 3. The card's so broken when it goes off, it just wins the entire game.
Yeah.
But I figured I could find it when I need it, and that was my experience at Worlds. So I don't think it's bad to run 1. I just think the whole deck should just try to run them over instantly.
Yeah.
So I probably should have played more Shattering Leaps. I was afraid of stage loss and being stage locked, but those type of decks weren't really prevalent at Worlds. There were only a couple of Broly's.
Yeah.
So, it would have been better playing more of those.
Yeah.
So what else? We've got Red Aerial Assault.
Okay.
3 of these. Again, another way to turn off Endurance, or Prevention, I should say, which is really important for Roshi as opposed to Static Shot. So this and Dig are better than Static Shot against Roshi. And gaining the anger is, again, not irrelevant. And you can do some cute stuff with, you play it, you copy it, you get the anger from it.
Yeah.
So it's a fun card. Table +3 is fine and Ruthless.
Yeah.
Can't complain about that one. I feel like it's a staple in the deck.
Yeah.
Another card that could go either way, but Double Strike. Honestly, I was on the fence on Double Strike.
You stole these two, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. That's really the only reason I played 3 is because I figured I have the World's promos.
Yeah.
I was really on the fence because, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but you can slime up a lot of anger with it, and you generate a lot of actions. So if you're on the higher Goku levels, 2 life at a time can add up.
Oh, for sure.
So, I don't know. I don't know if it has to be a 3-of if I was making the deck over again and if I wasn't concerned about foils.
Yeah.
But how could you say no?
Yeah, right? There are worlds after all.
Exactly. So much of this list was made on the night before, just slapping cards together.
Yeah. Seems like you have a good success with that because you and Fash did that with the orange trunks.
Oh, yeah, and hopefully he'll have a video with you later on, but I love that deck.
Yeah.
And that deck actually crushes this one. I almost ran it at Worlds, the orange trunks.
Oh, nice.
But so next card, we've got Red High Kick. I mean, my goal with this, I also wanted to do life damage at first. I don't know if I'd play 3 High Kick again, but just generating the extra card is so good in a meta where each Goku match is kind of predicated on who gets the last action.
Yeah.
That even though it doesn't always hit with the way I constructed it, I didn't go as block heavy as some of the other builds. I still like it. And also, I don't have a ton of endurance in here either, so the 1 endurance is relevant.
Yeah.
So we got those. Also, another card with endurance, we have Power Lift.
Yeah.
So the main reason I have this in here is for the mirror match. And that's why I play 3. And so you don't get stage locked. You can copy and stop multiple physicals.
Yeah.
And also a nod to if like Broly was around or if 13 was around.
Yeah, which we saw Andre next with his a dynamic Broly. So Broly's definitely making some kind of appearance, and then Trunks too, if we might see more of that. So.
Yeah, I was fortunate I didn't run into any of those matchups.
Yeah.
But I still like having the 3 in the deck. I only played 1 Ruthless Mirror, but it did come in handy in that game.
Nice.
So I like having 3 of those in the deck.
Nice.
Red Mule Kick is sort of another counterplay. Because you want to counterplay against Red with Trailing Blast, Blue with Rebuke. And we're just talking about Goku's. Any other deck could have some shenanigans with attached cards now.
Yeah.
I know there's a Clench Nappa running around the Worlds.
Yeah.
So you never know what could pop up.
Yeah.
So just having that tech option to have attached card hate available is pretty good.
Yeah, and the fact that you can kind of reuse it hopefully twice, and you can also search it out on demand with Goku 4.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the endurance is relevant, the anger is relevant.
Yeah.
Not as much damage as you would like, but you can't have it all.
Especially going against some sane deck with Sword Skill or something like that, that can be skipping.
Yeah, that's true. We tested that a little bit. I thought those decks might pop up, but there might have only been 1 in the whole World's field.
Yeah.
And also, another thing that I didn't come into, but against Bulma, Mule Kick against Bulma could be good. I know that was in one of the Top Cut games. That was a big play.
Yeah, which is huge.
So, now energy attacks, I've got 2 Red Energy Blast. Again, another tech choice. With so much orange going around, I felt like having the extra copy. Most people are just running 1 to search with Goku 4. I like having the second one in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Just with orange being so prevalent now.
Yeah. And it comes in for 5, so you could also kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
5 and 6 as you get higher.
Yeah.
You get the anger again, not irrelevant. So something I'm doing differently in this build is I'm playing 3 Tandem Blast.
Ooh.
There's so many times where you don't need it to do the loop. Sometimes if you're in a tight game against an opposing Goku, what you want to do is you want to generate anger with your other cards. Like we have a lot of Slime Anger here. And then you lead in with the Tandem Blast by dropping anger.
Yeah.
So if you turn off their non-style in that way, it's an unexpected play.
Yeah.
Especially if they already see 1 or 2 fall into the discard, they'll assume you don't have any left.
Yeah.
So it's very relevant in that sense. And also you can do even more level hopping with multiple copies.
Yeah, it could really just win games, like no joke, especially like I said, unleash the Kaioken, time, all that stuff.
Yeah, and even when you sequence in that way, if you're just trying to do all the Trailing Blast combos, what's good about having 3 tandems is that you don't have to search for that on Goku 4. You'll more than likely have 1 in your hand.
Yeah.
So what you could do, you could find something to turn off endurance or prevention. You could find another Trailing Blast to just add onto the combo and multiply it.
Yeah.
So you can go in a number of different directions where you don't have to say, oh, I have to fetch my 1 Tandem Blast right now, because otherwise I can't do the combo.
Exactly.
So then the last energy attack, 3 Static Shot.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's so standard. The card just wins games by itself sometimes.
Yeah. Even if it gets blocked, like you said, you're doing like so many different things, just no endurance.
Exactly. And it's really having a must block attack is good, so some of the other ones will get through. The Trailing Blast, endurance will get through. The Tandem Blast, the Energy Blast, those will start to get through.
Yeah.
So 3 of those, definitely a staple. I borrowed some foils for Worlds. I don't have them with me now.
Oh, nice.
And then, I forgot about Trailing Blast.
Of course, right? Can't have.
Yeah, it's not really even an energy attack. It's just the whole engine of the deck.
Yeah.
Like, once you start throwing a few of these, the game is over.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards that really there's no explanation needed for it.
Yeah.
For it, you just have to make sure that you don't overplay your hand in a lot of cases. Where if you draw back all your Tandem Blast Trailing Blast, and then they end combat, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
Or if you leave them out, then against decks like say Trunks could just blow it up on you.
Yeah.
And then you'll lose your combo pieces.
Yeah.
So you have to be wary of not overextending with this deck.
Yeah, and it adds that extra endurance buff, you know. It's also like the chip damage. I mean, it's coming in for one stage, so worst comes to worst, if you do get in physical beatdown or something like that, you could always just chuck it for like 4 life or something like that. You know, it really adds up over a course of time.
Yeah, exactly. So then we've got some blocks here. Got red blocking hand.
Yeah.
And again, another card that really speaks for itself. It's still the best physical block in red. You can't
Yeah, it really is. It's like
it's one of those things that probably for the life of the game people play it in red decks.
Yeah.
So the other choice here was Red Resourceful Block. And I was actually on the fence on this. I didn't really find a lot of great uses for it.
Yeah.
But 3 endurance. You know, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and play it.
Yeah.
The only other option I thought about was, what's it called? Red Disregard, where it's got 1 endurance, you can banish cards from your own discard. And I thought that'd be interesting to like sequence Unleashed with.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I couldn't turn that into 3 endurance.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really bad when you go from like 2 to 1 and you kind of have to drop yourself, but like going from, you know, any other levels like 4 to 3 or 3 to 2, you know, where you can generate an extra action is always clutch, you know. But
yeah, that's sort of the problem you run into is if you have to use this in a spot where it breaks your whole sequence, that really hurts.
Yeah.
So then we have Red Escape.
Yeah, this card. Oh
This card is just so broken in this deck. It's really unfair because in a way it's like another leveler, you know.
Yeah.
Even though it's for one combat is enough in this deck because you'll get to the rest of the combo pieces that much quicker.
Yeah.
So, and it makes it so that they can't throw energy attacks into you if they know you're holding it.
Yeah.
It's basically over at that point.
Yeah.
And then Red Stop, 3 of these just for utility. I don't have a drill target.
Yeah.
But you know, it's really not that good, but it's still a red card, so at least you can use it with the master.
It's an Omni block. You could search it out with Goku 4 if needed.
Exactly.
You know,
it's tough to play in this format though because people play so many spheres now that it's not as good as it once was.
Yeah.
But I still felt obligated to play it. I don't know though. Maybe it could be a 2-of. I'd have to think about it more if I was to play this again.
Yeah.
Then Times has been a staple, will be a staple until they ever freeze it.
Yeah.
There's nothing really to say about that. Overwhelming Power, I think pretty much every Goku is running as a searchable 1-of.
Yeah.
I like it better in Ruthless because you have a cool combo with Red Inferno here.
Okay.
So when you reveal where's that card, now I've got to like show the whole combo all at once.
Yeah.
So when you've got Red Premonition here, you could use this in conjunction with the Mastery. So you can reveal it, you'll get a crit with Inferno, you search Overwhelming Power, get a second crit.
Yeah.
So that comes in handy against ally decks, ball decks, and even against the more common stuff, anger decks. Having 2 anger lower on demand like that could be useful.
You're very, very useful. Now, I guess we'll get to the rest because I had a couple of questions also since we were speaking about these events. So.
Well, yeah, so that's why, so Inferno, primarily just because it's another attached card if you lose your Trailing Blast for whatever reason. If they flip over early or if you have them all attached or in your hand and you want to unleash and get another level. So just to have the other attached card is definitely valuable. The crits come in handy, a little bit of slime anger lowering. It's not amazing, but it gets the job done.
Yeah.
And then Premonition was in there, sort of just to combo with that, but also because with all the speed anger going around, and especially with Roshi, having the D-level option was pretty important to me.
Yeah.
But as the day went on, I felt like it was just getting in the way.
Okay.
I think I might try a version where I don't play that at all.
Yeah.
Well, it had some good uses, but I don't know. It's a lot of times like I think I lost the game because at the end of the game my deck was just empty. It was just all blocks and premonitions, and there were no attacks left.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'd want to put even more gas into the deck, just try to OTK people.
Yeah.
And get away from this whole
Like
tech idea.
Yeah.
So
we could just play it as a 1-of, you know, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you find it, you find it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
And then that's the only dead card I'm running in the deck. The only setup or drill.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, anything like that.
Yeah.
So then, just the event package. So 3 Kaioken, 3 Unleashed, that's your engine, your auto levelers. I don't think there's really any argument for going 3 Unleashed makes the whole deck. 3 Kaioken, it just becomes an arms race.
Yeah.
You know, if you run 1, then they'll say, oh, I'll run 2, and I'll have more levelers than you. Okay, well, now I have to run 3. And that's just where you end up.
And this is another way to get around the arm breaker, which is seen a lot of play, too, with the Kaioken, so...
It's true. They can't hard counter them both.
Yeah.
You can only get one or the other, unless they land arm breaker or wall breaker. And if they do, then you just shake their hand, or you hit a mule kick.
Yeah. Then you show your hand of 3 mule kicks.
GG. And then spheres, and again, since this has become the meta, then this has to be in there to counter the 6 events.
Yeah.
There's really no way around that. So many of the cards in this deck kind of put themselves in there that really there's probably only 15 or 20 spots that you can play around with. There's so many things that are just fixed into the deck, and it doesn't work without those cards.
Yeah, it looks really great, really solid. I mean, like you said, you're going to Worlds, you didn't know what to expect. You have covering the bases for pretty much anything. Like you said, the mirror match with the power lifts, the dev blows for the other Unleashed, and stuff for Roshi, pretty much everything. So again, getting 10th place at Worlds is definitely an incredible accomplishment. And I know there's probably a lot of things that you would want to change, but so would everyone about their deck. I mean,
exactly.
But I would say, like you said, you were really just 2 spots away from the top cut or whatever.
Oh,
but,
it was definitely right there. We had so many people go 4-2 at that event. It's tough to only cut the top 8 when you have, it was either 18 or 20 people got 4 and 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'll have to ask Joey Walter. He knows more about that than anybody.
Word. But I had a couple of questions. I know we were talking about the deck, I think a couple of days prior you were leaving to Texas, and then we were talking about maybe like 1 Overwhelming Power and 1 Red Observation. Now, I see it didn't make the cut, and any reason why?
It was just too slow, I'd take the observation, then they'd see the observation, so then they'd be able to play around observation. And what I also found is that a deck I was testing against a lot was Orange Goku. I thought that would be a rogue pick, and we saw 4 people played it at Worlds.
Okay.
But what happens against that deck is they get Focusing Drill. And then, so observation is pretty much null and void at that point.
Yeah.
Even if you can manage to blow up the Focusing Drill, they could just pull it right back.
Yeah.
So I figured if observation can't help me against that deck where they have all the drills in the world, then what's it going to help me against?
Yeah, exactly.
So it couldn't make the cut, unfortunately. I like the card, but it had to go.
Yeah. Now, I also saw like no relaxations. Is there, you thought like, it was like kind of slow down the deck a bit because you have to like wait for it to set up and. Like...
Yeah. Well, I got to the point where I thought Premonition would be a better play, and I saw some lists before that. This wasn't all my original creation. I had looked at some other things, so I saw other people were going towards 3 Premonitions, especially at Dragon Prix. And I just like the sound of that,
Yeah.
Because I don't think you could play a lot of copies of this and a lot of copies of Relaxation.
Yeah.
That's too many.
One or the other, pretty much.
Exactly. So I decided to go with this one, and so Relaxation just had to get cut.
Had to get cut. Yeah. Plus, with a lot of like combat ender stuff, you don't want to kind of also like blow your hand and get like this huge hand and then know like they like ball 7 you or something like that too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and also with both Ruthless and with Goku's levels, you don't want to have a dead card land on the discard pile somewhere.
Yeah.
So especially on the top, but even on the bottom.
Yeah.
So the more that you put in, the more your combats could just kind of hit a wall and just stop dead when you really need that one more action to break through.
Yeah, and I also saw like the no mule kicks. Is that because as well as
Oh well, no, we got the 3 mule.
Oh,
kicks.
sorry, I was thinking heel kick. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Heel kick. Well, my anger generation, I've got a lot of slime anger, but it's inconsistent, and there is a lot of anger hate in the format.
Yeah.
So I couldn't always trigger it. If I was gonna make a heel kick build, I'd probably have to run like another half a dozen style physicals. I'd have to run like, let's say, a Red Collision or something along those lines, just to make sure every card in the deck gives you anger so that you could always trigger the heel kicks.
Yeah.
But then at that point, I felt like I should just play Ruthless Broly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, is there anything that you would change if you would ever revisit this deck again? You were saying like adding like another static shot, but it looks really tight as is.
Well, static shots are maxed out.
Shattering Leap. I'm getting myself confused.
Yeah, probably more Shattering Leaps. Dev Blow probably doesn't need to be a 3. That was more of a Worlds play. I don't know if I'd do that in a bigger field.
Yeah.
So that would change. Premonitions would probably change. Maybe another block or 2. I want to get more consistency on high kicks. And there are definitely spots where like I was using high kick and hunting for the last block in the deck and I just couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see maybe going another energy block with something I had in and out. I had defensive stance in at certain points. I had another, like a 6th copy of a physical block was in and out. So I could definitely see doing that, just making the deck all like attacks, blocks, and the key events.
Nice.
And basically nothing else.
Now, how was your World experience like leading up to it? Because you were also there with Tom Anonymous, Thomas Anonymous, we'll call him.
Yeah, he's not anonymous anymore. They got him up on the World's blog.
Yeah, I know.
Tommy Delina, you You all know him now.
Yeah, got 4th place with Resolute Goku, which was awesome, only losing to the eventual world champion Sundeep. But, he comes here right at this local, so it's cool to have 2 really high-placing world contestants or contenders or whatever, whatever, 2 people that that did really well at Worlds, and they're at this local, which is awesome. So yeah, tell us about your experience. Being in Texas, getting some good steaks or anything like that.
Oh well, really, we couldn't really explore anything because the hotel was pretty much in the airport terminal. So to get out and take an Uber or taxis or whatever would have just been so much money.
Yeah.
I know some people found the time to do it, but they only went out for 1 meal or something.
Yeah.
And so much of it, we were just kind of bunkered down, getting into testing, trying to figure out what the last few cards are, what decks we should play.
Yeah.
I know some of the world's people were on the fence up until the very last night.
Yeah.
Figuring out what they should play or just changing so many cards. I probably changed 10 or 15 cards the night before.
Yeah, that's crazy, And what about your matchups? Were there any, what were your losses, I should say,
So, I could just run through them all.
Oh, sure.
So round 1, Orange Roshi, I OTK'd him. So round 2, Black Vegeta, that's the Joey Walter game. He's been telling everybody I hit 15 Trailing Blasts, and it's true. He knows every single card that happened in sequence, and that's exactly what happened. It was all level hopping Trailing Blast. So that's what the deck does. When it works, it does 30, 40, or even 60 life at once, and you just win on the spot.
Yeah.
So that was the first 2 rounds. Then I lost to Tim Palacios. He was playing Resolute Goku.
Yeah.
Really interesting build because his build is just a tank. It's all the builds with all the blocks, I should say, with max endurance and just heavy hitting energy attacks. So it's just blocks and attacks.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the polar opposite of this build.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a close game, narrow loss. Then round 4, I played the Mirror. I played against Valdez, who was also playing Ruthless Goku. And his deck was really interesting because he just got handed it by the Australians and they didn't put time in the deck for him.
It's awesome.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
But, the mirror match, he played it really well. It just comes down to who is Unleashed, who is Spheres, things like that. And I just happen to have him.
Yeah.
Round 5 was against Tommy, Resolute Goku. And that's sort of the game I lost there, was what I was talking about the deck being empty.
Yeah.
That was a rough one because I jumped out to a big lead. I hit Dig into double Shattering Leap. I knocked out 30, 35 cards out of his deck. But then there was nothing left. I was completely out of gas. He overturned all my levelers and stuff. I don't think I ever got past level 2. And the tech he has in the deck that everyone found out that weekend was Energized Strike is so good in Resolute Goku.
Yeah.
So he was just hitting that, cycling it back in, finding it again on the next turn. And he basically had attacks and I didn't at the end.
Yeah.
So that's how I lost that one.
Yeah.
And then the last game, who did I play in the last game? Wow. I played Tom Beasy. He was playing Resolute Goku as well.
Okay.
And again, it's just another who is Unleashed, who is Sphere. He terrored to get Unleashed, but I had Sphere, and that was basically the end of the game.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's sad that, sometimes the games come to that small margin sometimes,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All the games I thought were really close. I felt like I played probably the best I'd ever played, and sometimes you just don't have the breaks.
Yeah.
So, but going 4-2 in a tough field, you can't complain about that. And only one person was going to make top cut with that record.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't me.
Yeah, and you lost to a person that got top 4, so, that's not a bad loss.
And also Tim Palacios, he was top seed at the end of Swiss. He was the 6-0.
Yeah, so even that.
So that's why I got 10th. Pretty good breakers.
Yeah, for sure, Now, before we go, is there... Because I'm not sure if you're going to be at any other events coming up. I know there's some ARG stuff happening in Rhode Island or something like that.
Yeah, that's like a local. They're having the last set of last call invites for their ARG Nationals in Florida in a few weeks at the end of December.
Yeah.
So I already have an invite to that, but I don't think I can make it out to Florida. So I'll just be around the Northeast playing. I know some people are kind of down on the format right now because of how coin flippy it is, but I have faith that Panini will fix it, that the game will still keep going, that it won't get taken over by Bandai.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy playing it, so I'll try to travel and play as many events as I can.
Awesome. And now before I go, I just want to know, what do you would say to someone, since you've been at Worlds and you won a regional and stuff like that, have many accomplishments, how to get good in the game in terms of, strategy, in terms of deck building, what advice would you give someone?
Wow, I mean, we could be here for days talking about that, right?
We only have 5 minutes. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They're about to close the shop. But I would say just keep playing. That's all there is to it. Read as much as you can, watch as much as you can, and try different ideas, try out different deck lists, try different cards in and out of the deck. But also, I think the one piece of advice that I would have that I don't think people talk about as much is make sure your deck has one theme and one idea, and build it all towards that. Don't play cards just because you feel obligated to, or feel like everyone else does, or that you have to.
Yeah.
There's really, you don't have to play every staple. Just play the cards that help your deck win. So figure out what that is and how to do that.
Yeah, awesome. So, you guys heard it here first from the man himself, TJ the Savage, and this is his, 10th place World's Red Ruthless Drawku deck. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, Mr. Waffles out.